feet. The roar did not fail because it was weak. It failed because trust was already broken long before the first enemy crossed the border. And in that silent failure, the Pride Lands learned a lesson no battle could teach. Kion stood at the edge of Pride Rock, staring at a horizon that once felt safe, now filled with uncertainty. The wind carried whispers of doubt, and for the first time since becoming leader of the Lion Guard, he felt something far more dangerous than fear creeping into his heart. He felt alone. The Lion Guard had always been more than strength. They were speed, sight, courage, and power bound together by belief in one another. But belief is fragile. One crack, one unspoken doubt, and it spreads faster than fire through dry grass. It began small, almost invisible. A patrol gone wrong. A warning ignored. A decision questioned in silence rather than spoken aloud. No one said it, but everyone felt it. Trust was slipping. Fully noticed first. She always did. The fastest member of the guard sensed hesitation where confidence once lived. She followed Kion closely, watching him choose caution over instinct, restraint over action. She understood leadership was heavy, but doubt was heavier. Besh tried to keep spirits high, believing kindness could heal anything, yet even he felt the tension when conversations ended too quickly. Ono analyzed every movement, every mistake, searching for logic where emotions were quietly unraveling. Bunga joked louder than ever, hiding worry behind laughter, afraid that if he stopped joking, the truth would catch him. The enemy saw it before they did. Darkness doesn't create weakness, it waits for it. A shadow crept along the borders, not with claws bared, but with whispers. Rumors spread among the outclans. The Lion Guard is divided. Their leader hesitates. Their unity is fading. Where unity fades, chaos finds its opening. Kion blamed himself. He carried the roar of the elders, the weight of legacy, the expectations of kings past. Every decision echoed with consequences. When he hesitated, it wasn't fear of battle, it was fear of failing those who trusted him. Ironically, that fear began to cost him the very trust he tried to protect. The breaking point came during a border confrontation. A threat appeared, smaller than expected, manageable if handled quickly. Fully was ready to strike, Besht prepared to block, Ono mapped every angle. But Kion paused. He saw a trap where none existed, imagined betrayal where there was only danger. That pause changed everything. The enemy escaped. The guard stood frozen, not by fear, but by disbelief. No one shouted, no one accused. Silence was worse. Trust doesn't shatter loudly, it cracks quietly. That night, the guards sat apart from one another, staring at the stars they once shared dreams under. Kion wanted to speak, to explain, but words felt fragile, easily broken. Leadership suddenly felt lonelier than ever before. The Pride Lands responded to the imbalance. Praise scattered unpredictably. Borders grew restless. The circle of life does not favor hesitation. It demands harmony, and harmony requires trust. Rafiki watched from afar, seeing what others could not. Wars are not lost on battlefields first. They are lost in hearts. A council was called, not of elders, but of equals. Rafiki forced the guard to face what they avoided. Not the enemy, not the failed patrol, but each other. Truth poured out, slowly, painfully. Fully admitted she no longer knew if her speed mattered. Ono confessed he questioned his own calculations because decisions no longer followed reason. Best admitted he was tired of being strong when no one leaned on him. Bunga surprised them all by admitting fear. Real fear, not of enemies, but of losing his family. Then all eyes turned to Kion. The silence returned, heavier than before. He could hide behind the roar, behind leadership, behind destiny. But he chose honesty instead. He admitted his doubts, his fear of making the wrong choice, his struggle to carry expectations alone. In that moment, the roar did not answer him. Something greater did. Understanding. Trust is not built by perfection. It is built by vulnerability. The guard realized strength had never been the weapon that protected the Pride Lands. Etu's belief in one another's intentions, even when mistakes were made. Especially then. But trust, once cracked, must be tested to be restored. The enemy returned, bolder this time, sensing opportunity. This time, Kion did not hesitate. Not because he was certain, but because he trusted his team. He listened. He delegated. He believed. Regard moved as one again. Not flawlessly, but faithfully. The battle that followed was not the fiercest they had faced, but it was the most important. Every move relied on trust. Fully ran ahead knowing support would come. Best shielded without questioning strategy. Ono adjusted plans. Mid-fight confident, his voice mattered. Bunga stood his ground, not as comic relief, but as courage incarnate. And Kion roared, not with the power of kings, but with the strength of unity behind him. The enemy fell back, not defeated by force, but overwhelmed by something they could not exploit anymore. The crack was sealed. Not erased, but strengthened. Like stone repaired by gold, the guard emerged stronger for having been broken. As dawn rose over the Pride Lands, Kion understood the truth that would define his reign. Power wins battles. Speed wins chases. Strength wins fights. But trust wins wars. And as long as the Lion Guard trusted one another, no darkness would ever rule the land they stood to protect. Trust is not proven when everything goes right. It is proven when the ground shakes beneath you and every instinct screams to stand alone. Because that is when belief either holds or collapses. The Pride Lands enjoyed only a brief calm after the last battle, the kind of quiet that feels borrowed rather than earned. Kion sensed it immediately. Peace had returned. But it was thin, stretched tight by memory and fear. Trust had been restored, yet it was still young, still vulnerable, and the world does not wait for healing to finish. The threat did not come as an invasion. It arrived disguised as opportunity, a slap safety, stability, strength in numbers. But trust makes leaders brave enough to consider unity, and wise enough to question it. Kion listened to his guard before deciding. For the first time, every voice mattered equally. Ono noticed gaps in the story that logic could not fill. Besh believed in giving others a chance, while Bunga trusted his instincts. Raw and unfiltered, warning that smiles can hide sharp teeth. Kion did not silence any of them. He didn't rush to command. He chose to trust the process, not just his power. They accepted the alliance carefully, not blindly. When betrayal revealed itself, it was not a shock, but a test. The false allies moved to seize key territory, expecting confusion, hesitation, and division. What they found instead was coordination. The Lion Guard had learned that trust did not mean assuming the best of everyone. It meant believing fully in those who stood beside you. The battle that followed stretched across the Pride Lands, fully ran messages faster than fear could spread. Ono directed movements with calm precision, adapting plans in real time. Besh held choke points longer than anyone thought possible, trusting his teammates would return for him. Kion felt the weight of leadership differently now. He was no longer alone at the center of every choice. Trust allowed him to lead without carrying everything himself. Betrayal relies on isolation. Trust destroys it. When their deception failed, panic replaced confidence. They retreated, leaving behind the proof of their intent and the lesson they'd never expected to teach. After the dust settled, the Pride Lands gathered. not to celebrate victory, but to understand it. Kion addressed them without ceremony. He spoke of mistakes, of doubt, of how close they came to losing everything, not to enemies, but to silence and fear. He reminded them that strength fades, speed tires, and power can be taken. But trust, once chosen, becomes unbreakable. The lion god stood behind him, not as symbols, but as proof. Each of them had changed. As night fell, the stars reflected in still waters, and the Pride Lands breathed easier. The circle of life continued, balanced, not by force, but by connection. Power would rise and fall, but as long as trust remained unbroken, no darkness could ever claim their home.